Hello and welcome back to Guitars and Music Tech. This is the episode where we're going to continue talking about melodies and how to write melodies, part 2, and we will be concentrating more on scales. First, I'd like to apologize about the last episode. Apparently, it was cut abruptly and the ending was not there. I apologize. It's my mistake. The quality control guy went on vacation and didn't really check the whole thing properly. So you can go back and listen to that. So it will be a continuation of that episode. So we discussed last time, we said that when we write a melody, we don't need really to know anything about music. We just need to hum it and record it. So if you did that already and you have a recording of a hummed melody, the essence is, of course, to have a tempo. And we said the trick, the little trick I gave to you, which is go to find a song that you like and take the tempo of that song and just remove the melody and put your own melody following the same rhythmic pattern of that melody. That helps, and you can modify it a little bit later. It's always a good thing to take a kind of like in music, when we're working in a digital audio workstation, we use templates. We don't really open a blank page every time and we just start. We take something that we already worked on and we have kind of like a form already preset and we modify it. So it's like we don't have to invent the wheel all over again every time we want to write a piece. So for that, let's continue. It was a lot of times I would think about music and I was thinking, who invented that? Who invented notation? How old that was? Well, I searched about and I found out actually that it was it's everything coming from the church, by the way. It was the Middle Ages, and people were singing in the church, basically Gregorian chants. That's why you heard some Gregorian chants at the beginning of this episode. The Gregorian chants was sung on a diatonic scale. So we're talking about scales. What's a diatonic scale? If you have a keyboard, I'm sure you've seen a keyboard. There's the white notes. And there's the black notes. That's another question. How come why the black notes don't have their own names? Yeah, right. You have C, D, E, and then what's in the middle, C and D, it has no name. It's either C sharp or D flat, but it doesn't. Why can it have its own name? Well, because it didn't exist at the beginning. They didn't look at it. They just kept adding them one by one. And they started by adding the B flat. So they had diatonic. That means only the white notes, which makes the scale that everybody can sing. And that was sung in Gregorian chants. They only used the white notes and sang that. And when they were writing it down on a piece of paper to help the others sing along, there was no notation. It was just little dashes and it was going up and down. So if the music, the chant was going up higher by steps, they will just draw the steps. There was no staff, there was nothing. And then they kept adding stuff, and it kept developing this until it became what we know today. But it went through a long development. We won't discuss it. It's just the idea of where did this come from? And why do we have white notes and black notes? So it added, and they started adding that B flat because of the evil interval that they had in the church, which is basically from C to F sharp. That is not, you cannot do that. You will be murdered if you did that. So when they were going from a certain note to the B, it will cause the same interval, and that caused the problem. So they needed to lower it. So they just stuck a B flat there, so that they call it B flat, and they just sang that instead of singing the B, which caused an outrage. But we cannot sing that. So this is where it came. And then they figured out, oh, well, we will have the same problem with the others. If we jump from one note to another, they just kept adding those flats and sharps all over to avoid certain things. So when we're talking about scales, why is it important? Well, if you take the diatonic scale, just going from C to C, the white notes, that's the diatonic scale. If you started from C to C, that's the diatonic C major scale. Well, we got that scale. Everybody, it's the famous one. But if you started from D and you continued to another D, then this scale is not called the diatonic scale anymore. It's not. It's a different. We called it at certain modes. I'm not going to discuss modes. Starting from a different starting point on that scale. So if you start from D, it becomes a different mode. If you start from E, it's a different mode. It gives a different pattern. Because if you look at it, again, one of my things when growing up, where did this come from? How they divided it? And if you look at the guitar, the fretboard, it repeats the octave at 12, the 12th fret. So it's divided by 12 notes. So if you count them, all the notes on the keyboard, they are 12. So you have 12 notes. So they're all important and they're all the same, whether they're white or black. So, but on the keyboard, that is not the case. You don't have black notes that have their own names. But when you play it on the guitar, if you played a certain pattern and you just need to move your hand up the fretboard one step, which is one fret, and then you can play that pattern again and it will sound perfect. Exactly the same thing, just a semitone higher. So if you want to write a melody, but this time you really want to do this following a scale. So that means you limit yourself to a certain number of notes. So that's why I didn't discuss it last time, because I don't want to limit you and your creativity in writing and composing a melody. So I just asked you to hum it and record it on your iPhone. So that's perfect. So, but today we're going to do another exercise. We're going to try to limit ourselves to a certain scale. Okay. So why not limit ourselves to the most obvious scale, which is the C major scale, which is the diatonic scale, which was the beginning of everything with the Gregorian chants. So you're going to compose a melody, but you are only allowed to play the notes on the white notes on the piano. On the guitar, it's going to be difficult because you don't know where's the white notes. Well, you have to learn how this diatonic scale sounds like and play it on the guitar, and then limit yourself to that particular major scale on the guitar. So you have no choice. You're going to have to learn how to play a major scale on the guitar. Or just use a piano, because most composers use piano. Even if you're a guitar player, as I said before, it's more visual and you have to look at it, and so it's easier to see because it's all laid down, especially if you're doing some orchestration work, so you know which instrument starts and ends where, so it's easier. Okay, so let's go on a keyboard and just play those white notes and jump. Make some jumps. Take the melody that you already did last time and try to play it exactly, but on the keyboard, on those white notes. Does it work? Start on a different notes that don't start from C. Try and see how that will develop. So this is a good exercise to limit yourself to a specific scale. And you're going to write this down. Or now we're going to evolve a little bit. Instead of just humming it on the phone, we're going to open a digital audio workstation. And you got one already. If you got an Apple product, you do have this coming free with it, which is called GarageBand. That is a digital audio workstation. It's a DAW. It's free. So you just open it up and you'll have a keyboard there, an instrument, and you can even play it on the screen. So you can record or mimic what you just hummed. And that will record MIDI notes on one of the tracks. So that will be your new way of melody. But don't forget, you still have to record following a tempo. So your tempo is the speed of the beats. You decide that first and follow the rhythm that we decided on, and just as we said last time, record 1 or 2 bars only. And we're going to loop that for a little bit, or we're going to see what we're going to do with it later. But for now, for this exercise, you did record your melody, but this time we are following a specific scale. Great job. So next week, we are going to look of how to add chords and how those chords, where are they going to come from, and how are we going to do that. So step by step, we will see how do we add chords. Some musicians, composers, prefer to start with the chords, but I don't like that. And because it will limit, like also starting with a scale, it limits you to that particular scale. But if you have an idea in your head, right, and you invent and you compose a melody, it's free. Sometimes it doesn't even have a tempo, but we're limiting ourselves to a certain tempo because that's how music works. So no tempo, no scale, no chords, just the melody. Now we're trying to restrict and make it fit so that we can reproduce it and add other things to it so it can follow and synchronize with other instruments. So now we are starting to put limitations. We have the tempo, we have the rhythm, we have the scale, and next time we're going to add the chords. All right? Until next time, have a good time and see you. Bye-bye.